It is now 6:32. I'm going to bring the meeting of the Lawndale City Council to order. I'm going to ask the city clerk to conduct the roll call. Madam City Clerk.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Suarez.
Here.
Councilmember Kearney.
Here.
Councilmember Hoffman Gorman.
Here.
Councilmember Cuevas.
Here.
Mayor Pullen Miles.
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you. Let's have our flag salute is going to be led by Councilwoman Hoffman Gorman, followed by a word of inspiration by Youth Director Mike Miller from Restoration Life Church.
Please place your right hand over your heart and recite along with me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Miller. I bring you greetings from Restoration Life Church, just a couple of blocks down the way, where I get to serve as our youth director and get to serve our high schoolers in this community. Before a quick word of prayer, just a couple of quick passages of scripture, if you will, out of Proverbs, which is a book of wisdom. And Proverbs 3 says this. It says, "My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and peace will they add to you. Do not let kindness and truth leave you." It says, "Bind them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart, so that you will find favor and good repute in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. Do not reject the discipline of the Lord, or loathe his reproof. For whom the Lord loves, he reproves, even as a father corrects the son in whom he delights." This is a incredible passage of scripture because it's calling us to a place of wisdom. And I'm thankful that we have a city council and we have a mayor that abides by wisdom, abides by sound thought and teaching, as in the leadership of our city, in the governance of this community, as someone that has now lived here for 20 years in the city of Lawndale, and I've been able to benefit from those blessings. And so just a couple of quick passages of scripture in this thought, but if you will bow your heads for a quick moment of prayer. Jesus, we thank you. Thank you so much for this evening. Thank you for this afternoon. God, we thank you for this city. God, we thank you for what you're doing in this city and how you have so sovereignly guided us for so many years. And we believe, Lord, that you will guide us for many years to come. Jesus, we ask that we will not trust on our own understanding, but that we'll trust in you, that we won't lean on our own wisdom, but that we will lean on you, God. Lord, I pray over our city. Lord, I pray over our council, Father. Lord, I pray for wisdom for our mayor and for our city council. Lord, may you lead them and guide them in the direction that they are to go forward in, Lord, in the leading of this, Lord, as you have appointed them for such a time as this. Lord, we pray over our law enforcement, Father. Lord, we pray over all the policemen that are out protecting us. Lord, we pray over the fire department, Lord. Lord, we pray over the local paramedics, Lord Jesus. We thank you for all those, the city workers, Lord, and for everyone that you have placed here so sovereignly to protect the city, to take care of those of us who live in the city, and for the furtherment of your better plan for the city. God, we thank you and we love you. In Jesus' name, and we all said, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Reverend Miller, for being here tonight. Thank you, and give our regards to Pastor Vargas. We thank you so much. Okay, let's move our agenda. Let's hear from our Los Angeles County Sheriff Department, Captain Palomino. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, esteemed members of the City Council, and members of the community. I'm Nicole Palomino, the captain of South Los Angeles Station, and I'm here tonight to present the Public Safety Report for March 18th through April 2nd. I will begin by discussing our notable arrests and investigations. On March 7th, at approximately 1600 hours, deputies responded to Hogan Park in the city of Lawndale regarding an assault with a deadly weapon that just occurred. The deputies arrived on scene and discovered that several suspects vandalized the park with spray paint and brandished a firearm at the citizen who confronted them. The suspects fled the location before the deputies arrived. Detective Dan Ramirez investigated the crime and reviewed the city's newly installed surveillance cameras. In doing so, he positively identified several of the suspects. Detective Ramirez authored a search warrant last week, and 2 of the suspects were taken into custody. Then on March 28th, at approximately 1300 hours, deputies responded to Lusinger High School regarding reports of a student who was in possession of a firearm, which prompted a large response from South Los Angeles Station. The deputies arrived on scene and quickly discovered the student already fled the campus. Detective Ramirez investigated the matter and took 1 suspect into custody the following day for firearms-related offenses. I also have a couple of public safety announcements for the residents of Lawndale. So last week, the news ran a story about a catalytic converter theft that occurred in the city of Lawndale. The victim video recorded the crime in progress and reported the incident to the sheriff's department. Station detectives are currently following up on several leads in the case. Lastly, South Los Angeles Station is currently planning a catalytic converter etching event for the residents of Lawndale. The etching will allow law enforcement to identify catalytic converters if they are stolen and will serve as a deterrent for thieves. I will provide additional information about the upcoming etching event when the details are finalized. This concludes my report, and I would be happy to answer any questions the council might have.
Okay, thank you for that report. Are there any questions on the captain's report? Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Detective Dan Ramirez on that fine work. I am so happy that, I know it seems like a long time ago, March 7th, but really in reality it isn't, for them to know who it was and to get to it as quickly as they are. Thank you, and please, from the bottom of my heart, express that to him too, please.
You're welcome, and I definitely will. Thank
I
you.
love the strong work that our sheriff's department does. Also, the catalytic converter event, I look forward to that. I have been asked numerous times since residents have seen it on the news. In fact, I can't tell you the number of people that have passed it to me from social media as well. So I look forward to and being able to spread. And so when that comes up, if we could in some way get that word out. I don't know. I know it takes a while, and so there'll only be a certain number of spots, but boy, howdies, is it something that our residents are looking for. So that's exciting to me.
And then we can advertise on our social media as well for the event,
All right.
which will help.
Is it going to be closed, though, to Lawndale residents?
We can.
I would like to have that considered.
Okay.
We have enough interest in Lawndale and I think the need is great enough that I would sure like the Lawndale resident to have priority.
That'd be fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I too want to thank the Sheriff's Department for all their great work. I'm Captain. Going back to the Cadillac converter issue, have there been any updates on that? Because I know there was a national ring that was going on concerning Cadillac converters. I think it was it in New York, somewhere back east. Is this connected to that in any kind of way? I thought it kind of slowed down after they was busted.
I did not hear about that, but I can look into that and see if it is connected.
Okay, very good. Also, I'd like to somehow recognize the residents who saw what was going on at the park. Sometimes we forget those bystanders or residents who have been vigilant. Because it's kind of scary these days to get involved with the smallest things can just escalate to something that's really regrettable, what have you. So I think we should send a note or something to recognize that the residents who brought that to our attention and try to, keep them from their evil ways, if you will. So maybe we can look into that.
I would second that. I didn't realize it was a resident that actually initiated it.
Yeah.
We'll look into that, Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
Council.
But thank you for that report.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so moving on our agenda. The chief is here today from the LA County Fire Department. Wade Casely. He's our battalion chief. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor
Good
and
evening.
City Council members. My name is Battalion Chief Wade Kelsey with the Los Angeles County Fire Department. It's Acting Assistant Fire Chief Brian Kane couldn't make it tonight, so I'm filling in for him. So what I have is the statistics for the fire department calls for the month of March for the city of Lawndale. We had only one fire that was reported. It was an outside rubbish fire that occurred on Hawthorne and the 405. I think it was underneath in that general area, in the grassy area. We had 141 calls for emergency service. Out of those 141, 28 people were transported via advanced life support. That means our paramedics followed up to the hospital with them, with McCormick Ambulance. Usually it's McCormick Ambulance or one of the private ambulance companies. I'm sorry about that. Out of those 141, 63 of them were transported via basic life support, meaning they didn't raise to the highest level of need. We did have we had one call for hazardous conditions, which were wires down. I don't have the exact address for that, but it sounds like we had some power lines down. We had a lot of heavy winds this last month, so I'm guessing it had to do something with that. And we had 66 false alarms, and those range from fire calls to emergency medical service calls and a whole host of other calls that turned out to be, they were coded as false alarms. We had no significant large-scale emergencies in the city of Lawndale during the month of March. And that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you for that report. Any questions of the chief's report?
Thank you for being here and giving us that report. I'm always excited to see what we're transporting and what BLS as well as advanced life support. And also I'm one of the people that is a cheerleader for the physician's assistant or nurse practitioners that you guys are sending out. So I always look forward to hearing about that as well. Thank you.
Okay, one question for you. Thank you. You mentioned that the one fire, it was a brush fire. Do you know if that was connected to any type of homeless encampment?
I don't have that information, but I could look into it and
Okay.
get back to you on that.
Okay, we do. Thank you so much for your
Okay.
report. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is oral communications. This is when you have the opportunity to speak to the Lawndale City Council on items that are not on the agenda. If you'd like to speak on items that are not on the agenda, you may do so at this time. Please line up by the flag when it becomes your turn. If you would approach the podium, if you would start with your name first. At about 2.5 minutes, the amber light will come on and give you the signal to start wrapping things up. Now, you don't have to wait for your name to be mentioned. Just simply approach the podium after the person before you have concluded. Let's have our first speaker. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Michelle Pino from Lawndale Library, and I'm here to announce some of the programs and invite people in the community over to the programs that we're going to have at the library. So for children, we have our Smarty Pants Story Time, which is going to be Fridays, April 5th through the 19th from 10:30 to 11. We have Creation Station. We have the solar eclipse. So on Saturday, April 6th, we're going to have a special program for that. Spring celebrations, faith, culture, and community. So we want everybody to come and learn about cultures and faith around the world through celebrations happening this spring. Lifestyles of slimy and squishy. So experience life up close and personal with tadpole animals and sea stars. So they're coming over to the library. So that'll be really fun. Last time we had it, everybody really enjoyed that. And we're also going to celebrate Dia. So another special event. This is for on Wednesday, April 24th, 3:30 to 4:30. For teens, we have National Poetry Month, Thursday, April 18th, 4 to 5. We also have our Teen Advisory Board meeting, Saturday, April 20th, 12 to 1. For adults, we have ESL Social Club on Tuesday, April 2nd, which was today, 5 to 6. And Book Club for adults, Thursday, April 11th at 10:30. Our Gardening Club, Saturday, April 13th. And Make Mo Light Up Origami, that will be Tuesday, April 16th. And then I would like to thank Councilmember Suarez. She was someone who mentioned to me about the nursery right here on Marine. We connected with them, so we're creating a partnership with them. So hopefully they're going to start coming over and do programs with the garden that we have at the library. So thank you very much. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Gerardo Sandoval. I was here approximately about 2 months ago to inquire about the facilities being able to rent at the community center, which, like I said, is a beautiful room that we're looking to possibly have access to. Last I heard was they were going to be looking into the budget, or if there's enough money in the budget to make it available again. I talked to the front office desk staff at the community center a few times, and they simply told me no update. So I'm just here to see if there's an update or any kind of news on the progress, or if there's any news on that being available in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, this is Holly Osborne from Redondo Beach. I don't think I've presented these charts before, but I just did them downtown, so you're going to get them too. This is about the width of the row in the narrow part, and you guys have given me this diagram. It's the assessor's map, and I've gotten it other places too, independently. It's 75.77 feet. I put that in big red, so you can't miss it. But if you look in the appendix of the DEIR, inexplicably, at 171st Street, they just jump it up by about 5 or 6 feet, and then they claim it's 80 feet and 81 feet. And that's still there. You remember though there was those diagrams about the width of the row that they had on those boards? And on this, I didn't realize this until fairly recently, and it's either very creative surveying, or I don't know. There was a surveyor when they had that stuff back in October, November at Jay's, who was opposite 172nd Street. And I said, what are you measuring? And he says, I can't tell you until I've cleared it with my boss. I said, give me a break. Metro's claimed two numbers, 81 and 75. I just want to know which one's closer. He goes, oh, the lower one. Okay? So anyway, I just think this is creative surveying by a very green surveyor. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Osborne. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Andrew Blackney. I'm a resident of Lawndale. Every day for work, I travel between 3 cities to get to and from work. And every day, it saddens my heart that by far the city that I feel is the most dangerous is my own city, Lawndale. But as my work, I'm an engineer, so I try to deal in cold, hard data and not in just general feelings. So I started looking into the data. I looked at the city's traffic speed survey in combination with AAA data on crashes involving active transit, which is people walking, biking, and those sorts of things with cars, and used that data in comparison with the traffic survey to find out that on all the major streets, if there's an incident, there's about a 10% chance of someone dying, which really shocked me, and it made me think, yeah, that's why I feel that it's very dangerous, since there's no protections for bicyclists on the streets. I then went and looked deeper and did and looked at the Sheriff's Department's data for the City of Lawndale for traffic incidences in 2023. In 2023, I found out that there were 25 traffic incidences involving cyclists or pedestrians. And of those, thank God there was no deaths. But in that, there were 14 incidences involving cyclists, which equates to approximately 1.5% of the total population of people in Lawndale that bicycle daily to get to and from work. I then referenced this with LA County data for traffic violence involving cyclists, and this puts Lawndale in the medium-high range for traffic violence involving cyclists. So I would just like to urge the city to do something to improve the safety on its major streets for the residents that cycle, since they do have a larger population in comparison to all of LA County that cycles to and from work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, with that, we will close public comments and bring it up to the dais for any comments from the council. Let's hear from Cuevas.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out and speaking. Could we look into the community center and see where we are at in opening the upstairs for events?
Mayor, council, so I'll just bring, this has come up several times, so just so for clarification, we'll go over the budget with the budget committee, but just so we're all aware, it's 7 staff members we'll need, including a supervisor, full-time to open the community center back on the weekends. In addition, I've just talked to Mike about it today. He's going to need an extra few staff because they're running low on their hours to part-time. So if we consider reopening it on the weekends, we got to consider the amount of staff that will be needed to be hired to man the community center on Saturdays and Sundays. So just as a heads up on it, and it's a significant cost, but we'll look at it. And in addition, I looked at because I knew this was going to come up. Our billing for the electrical bill has gone down from 10,000 to roughly like 7,000 something monthly from reducing the cost of the building. For some reason, even though it's LEED certified, it consumed a lot of power monthly. So we'll look at it in the budget committee.
Yeah, if you could put it on the agenda for the budget committee, that would be great.
Definitely
I'm pretty
got it.
sure we could make some accommodations. Dr. Osborne, thank you very much for your charts and your dedication on this. Hopefully Metro is listening. I'm hoping, but I doubt it. But I really appreciate all the data you're bringing to us at every meeting. Andrew, we'll go ahead and we'll chat and see what we could do regarding the bicyclists. That will be all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hoffman Gorman.
Thank you to everybody that came out to speak. Michelle, it's always fun to hear what's going on at the library, even if they are squishy. And I think that Ms. Cuevas said everything that I wanted to say. Holly, thank you for staying in the fight with Metro. I wish I could tell you that something encouraging, but unfortunately, I don't have anything. So thank you for being there and continuing to argue your 5 feet.
Thank you. Councilman Pack-Kearney.
Well, since my colleagues to my left already said anything, I would just say my famous word, diddle, and pass it on.
Okay, Madam Pro Tem Short.
Thank you to everybody that came out. I agree with Councilmember Cuevas. I would like to see that, and I know we'll discuss it. I myself being on the budget committee, I think it's, I know we had to cut it temporarily, but I do feel as though we have the facility and that's what it was built for. So we'll try and make it work. And then I did want to ask, do we have an update regarding the resident, Mr. Andrew Blackney? He did bring up along 147th, and I know I met with him personally. I had a meeting with him about putting in safety measures. And I know the last update we had was it was going to take a little bit of time to get some of those put in, but I just wanted to see.
Mayor, council member Ahmad will fill you guys in on the updates.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Councilmember Suarez, I have good news actually for you. I wished that my tenure in Lawndale had been continuous. You know, the crosswalks, which are the easiest traffic safety, would have been done by now. However, upon coming back, I realized that there is a citywide striping project, and I made sure that the staff separated the 147th between Hawthorne and Prairie and do the easy traffic safety, as we promised Andrew, which is ladder crosswalks at the intersections that do not currently exist. So the requests for bids are going to go out in a matter of days, and hopefully we get good bids and we'll proceed with that project.
Okay,
So
and
that's
then,
that.
I don't know if this may also be the question for you. You weren't here, but we also discussed meeting with the COG about the slow speed. I don't know if staff has met with the COG yet about that.
Mayor and council, based on concurrence from the council, we do have staff meeting with, I believe, the COG. I think it's Nick, has been part of that committee and reached out to Aaron.
The local travel network?
Yeah. with
Yes,
Aaron.
yes. Actually, the gentleman's name is Aaron,
Yep.
Aaron Baum.
Aaron Baum.
And so I've been in contact with him. I'm trying to set up a meeting. It's been busy schedule both on his part and, the staff that he is intending to bring to that meeting. So I'll report to Sean, as to when the next meeting is.
Okay,
So, okay.
perfect. And just to let the residents know, sometimes with local government, it is a little bit slower moving than, the private industry, so just bear with us, but we are listening to your concerns. And with that, I'll pass it along.
Thank you. I also want to thank everyone who came out tonight and those who spoke. I do echo the sentiments of my colleagues who spoke earlier. I want to thank the good Dr. Osborne for always being vigilant on this issue with Metro and bringing it to our attention, even the nuances, right? Because that's a big deal, 75 versus 81, right? So thank you for your maps and for keeping this, of course, at the forefront so we can understand all the implications of the Metro expansion project. Andrew, we did meet, and of course, I'm in favor also of those measures to keep bicyclists safe. I'm a bicyclist myself, not avid. Avid meaning I get winded, right? So I might have to walk a little bit, right, right, what have you. But I do ride my bike as well, so I understand the dangers. And I work in the city of LA, and I see the bad and the good and the bad, put it that way, because they have somewhat of a program, for bus lanes. Bicycle lanes as well. So I'm in favor of those measures myself. Going back to the community center, Ms. City Manager, you did mention that our bill went down from 10,000 to 7,000, which is like a 3,000 savings. I see that as not necessarily keeping it at 7,000, but the 3,000 is kind of like money in the bank, if you will, because we would have been spending the 3,000 anyway, so we're kind of ahead of the game, if you will, in terms of reopening the center so that the community can get the use and enjoyment out of the center. So I don't know how many months we've enjoyed the 7,000 versus the 3,000, but whatever those months are, to me that seems like we kind of now deferring it a little bit, the cost, because we've been saving 3,000, right? Of course, the finance directors probably don't look at it that way on the city manager, but that's how I look at it, like we've been saving all that time. So when our next bill comes at 7,000, it's not really 7,000, it might be 6,000 or whatever over a period of time, right? That's how I look at it. Anyway, so if you can take a look at it, we appreciate that.
Not a problem, Mr. Mayor and Council. We're on, as soon as we'll bring it to the Budget Committee.
Thanks, I appreciate that. And that's all I have. And with that, we will move the calendar and go to our consent calendar. Now, on our consent calendar, I think Madam City Clerk wanted to, Assistant City Clerk wanted to bring out an issue.
Yes. Staff would like to make a note for the record on consent item number 4, records destruction. Staff is removing the list of city manager's records, therefore they will not be destroyed. Thank you.
Okay, so we won't be destroying the city manager's records. I'm just saying that's what she said. That's what she reported. I'm just repeating. Okay, so what is the pleasure of this body?
I'll make a motion to go with this recommendation.
Okay, the motion has been made.
For number 4.
By Kearney.
The total package, I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Yes, the motion's been made by Pat Kearney that we adopt the consent calendar with the amendments spoken of or strike out. spoken of by the Assistant City Clerk and seconded by Hoffman Gorman. Unless any discussions on the motion?
Yes.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
I need to excuse myself on item number 3 since I was not here at the last meeting.
Okay. And so the record show that the Councilwoman Cuevas will recuse herself from item 3 and will be voting on the remainder of the consent calendar.
Yes.
Correct?
Thank you.
Okay, unless there are any further discussion, the council please vote on the consent calendar, on the agenda.
For the consent calendar, the motion passes unanimously with Councilmember Cuevas excusing herself from item number 3.
Okay, thank you, madam. Let's have item 5, administration adoption and approval of scheduled salaries and benefits for essential management employees.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. For your consideration this evening and approval is the scheduled salary and benefits resolution for the central management employees and the third amendment to the citywide salary pay schedule for fiscal year 23-24. The salary and benefit resolution will provide for a 4% salary increase, a 3% ARPA payment, an increase to the car allowance, a 5% certification pay for a professional engineer in order to maintain pay equity and also to assist with the recruitment for key positions that we have open at this time. The resolution also incorporates language to clarify existing contract language and changes related to sick leave cash out, the definition of immediate family member, vacation executive leave accruals, and the flexible contribution benefits consistent with those changes made during the contract negotiations with AFSCME. As a result of this information, the total cost to implement this resolution for this current fiscal year is $40,725, which will require a budget amendment from the general fund and ARPA funds. Approval of this resolution will also trigger a need to approve and adopt an amendment to the citywide salary and pay schedule. As a result, staff respectfully recommends that City Council adopt Resolution CC 2404-064, amending and restating the schedule of salary and benefits for central management team, authorize the director, finance, city treasurer to complete a budget amendment to transfer $40,725 from the general fund to the ARPA fund and to appropriate to the appropriate line items, and adopt and approve Resolution CC 2404-065, amending the citywide salary pay schedule for fiscal year 2023-2024. Staff is available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, by staff, you mean yourself?
That means me.
Okay, that means you. just making sure. Any questions on this report?
I have
Okay.
no questions,
No
but
questions.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been motion that you approve the staff recommendations and by Schwartz and seconded by Kearney. Any discussion on the motions? Let's see if there's anything that you need to read. No, okay, but the council please vote.
For item number 5, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, item 6. Oh, bless you. Item 6 is an update on progress of creating a neighborhood watch program.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and distinguished members of the City Council. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you this evening. The staff report that you have before you is an update of the creation of a neighborhood watch program in the city of Lawndale. At the most recent City Council meeting, one of the council members inquired about the progress of neighborhood watch and how it was going. While the Municipal Services Department has actively recruited members of the community with sign-up sheets and through conversations at our Coffee with the Cop, National Night Out, and our Pet Fair, we have not received a significant amount of interest from residents about participating in Neighborhood Watch. In order to increase some interest, MSD has given out raffle tickets for gift cards to anyone willing to sign an interest sheet, but unfortunately this has not yielded a great amount of support. Staff is suggesting that the City Council allow staff to host a citywide neighborhood watch event within the next 4 to 6 weeks that we can widely advertise, which will include presentations from myself, from Sergeant Smith, with questions and answers and refreshments to gauge how much turnout we can generate. If we do generate a large turnout, we're going to use that opportunity to recruit members so that we can have a small neighborhood watch and hopefully grow on from that. If the turnout is lower, then we're going to look to City Council for direction. We can continue to recruit at our events that we normally have. We also recognize that apps like Neighborhood and Nextdoor, Facebook Neighborhood and Nextdoor have become de facto neighborhood watch programs.
Yeah.
What we might suggest, if we don't get a large turnout at the live event, then we can begin the idea of possibly putting out a weekly or monthly broadcast on one of those apps. And staff is available to answer any questions. And that concludes the staff report.
Okay, any discussions on the staff report on this item? Yes, ma'am.
So I'm excited because this is something that is near and dear to my heart, and I think that it needs to occur. And I'm all for, in the next 4 to 6 weeks, us having a community meeting of everyone. And then I'd like the next step to be that it's quadrant size, you know, so I see that there is a way so that we can more focus on each one of the quadrants and what they individually are bringing. So I look forward to it, and then getting a little further and having, you know, a couple of streets where we can get back to where we were with captains and people that are interested. I'm also for, in addition to that, simultaneously, that we are utilizing our social media, and yes, I do think that we need to have bulletin board type things coming out from the city on those forums.
Thank you. Yes, we're excited to have this too. Sergeant Smith and I spoke about this at some length about what we could do. I have participated in these type of events before, and it is encouraging to get a lot of turnout from the residents. So we will advertise it and promote it and try to get quite a few members there so we can have live events.
Yes.
But we can certainly work towards doing social media weekly or monthly outreaches as well.
I think it encourages our residents to communicate with our sheriff's department, and I also think that not everything that's going on in our community is the sheriff's responsibility. Our citizens also have to play a part, and this is where it begins, is the educational factor on both parts of it, coming to the table and getting some of these things done.
Our goal at the community events such as Coffee with Cop is to increase the camaraderie between our sheriffs and our citizens, and we certainly want to educate them as best we can. So we'll put that as a promotional part of the event.
I had a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
I think the last neighborhood watch that I attended was probably several years ago. And so I'm just wondering, historically, have they been started by the residents, right, who come forward and ask to host those at within, from what I understand, like maybe 2 streets or very, very close?
Correct. As Councilwoman Hoffman-Gorman stated, typically this would be in quadrants so that the neighborhood is broken up into smaller sections where residents can sort of police and sort of observe in their own parts of their community when they're walking their dogs, when they're coming home or just going for exercise, things like that. You wouldn't want them to be citywide because that'd be quite a bit of area to cover. And we have had some interest. It's not zero, it's just less than we would have hoped. So getting groups in quadrants is going to be difficult. But like I said, we can heavily advertise this. I do have experience with these. In my time with the city, we've never had one. So it's been at least 6 years, as far as my knowledge is, since the last one.
Our last active group was at 154th and Inglewood Avenue with the preacher there. And he passed away, and that area seemed to then get quiet. And that was the last of our really active Lawndale watch or neighborhood watch. But years ago, I think every couple of streets had a segment, and it became something really big. In fact, we had a full-time administrator of the program here at City Hall for quite some time. So.
And I agree. I think it can be very big. It's just with social media, neighbors are able to connect right away, instantly, and that sort of dissipates the need for the in-person meeting. So we do want to have this event to generate interest and see which is a better option to go with.
What I'm looking for is that on our social media platforms, many times I go in and take a look and read, and there's so much bad information that is given and incorrect things. Right, Randall? And on that note, I think this is the way we curtail it. is, you know, this person says, oh, well, this is the way it happens, and I'm reading it going, no, it isn't. And they get 20 people behind them believing this thing. So that's why I think it's really important that the city get out there also on the social media platform.
Thank you.
I do have a question. How are we advertising this? Are we doing Spanish, also flyers, different languages? Because a majority of our residents might not speak English, and they might not want to get involved thinking we need to speak English. But we should advertise that you don't need to speak English to participate in the neighborhood watch.
We can make sure the flyers go out in English and Spanish.
And whatever other language we have, you know, our residents. I don't know. I don't think Mandarin, but to
We can research and find out what languages to put the advertising out. In addition to flyers, we'll do signage, we'll do the 405 sign, we'll do all our social media sites, our city website, and we'll put it on the cable channel.
I would also like to see option one, having a big meeting and see how many people are interested before we start blowing this out of proportion. You know, I know coffee with a cop is a good thing, but some people work during the times that we're having coffee with a cop. So maybe on one of our events, we could promote it and see how many more people would like to participate.
Correct, and speaking with Sergeant Smith, the goal is to have this be a late afternoon, early evening event, and as well the next Coffee with a Cop will also be a late afternoon, evening event. So agreed, that might be part of the reason that it's hard to get interest, because Coffee with a Cop is typically in the morning.
And could we make sure that wherever we advertise, we have a translator? I've learned that a lot of our residents don't come because they feel that they're not going to be that we're not going to understand what they're saying, and they won't understand what we're saying to them.
Yes, these are excellent suggestions, and I'll make sure we accommodate everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more suggestion.
Yes, ma'am. One more suggestion.
You might want to put a topic that is that would be a topic of discussion in the city. For example, the catalytic converter popped up. Maybe you tailor it so that it's something that a lot of people have had frustrations with, and maybe just tips or stuff, or updates on how the sheriff department and the city is working together to address those concerns, or tagging, graffiti.
Yeah, that's an excellent suggestion too, and we can certainly make it topical. My goal was to speak on services for the city, and I think Sarge's would speak on crime trends and public safety. But yes, we can certainly do that.
And I too thank you for pointing out the use of the various apps. I do encourage us to use those because you are correct. Those are de facto neighborhood watch or what have you. Good, bad, or indifferent. Good information, bad information, but it is a source of information that a lot of people are accustomed to using, especially seem to be younger folks, right, are accustomed to using these as opposed to going to meetings, which I'm not opposed to having a meeting as well, but I think we should do on both of them so that we can capture the different, because people are taking their information different these days. They may not have a lot of time to have a meeting. They want to know the information, right, but may not want to meet, right, what have you, may not want to carve out that kind of time, but if we can do it through social media in addition to a meeting for those who want to show up, whatever, I think that'll be serve us well. And I did have one other thing that you may not think this is a great idea like you thought those others was a great idea.
No, it's going to be good.
But, so I'm also, maybe we can also have, because those are wonderful topics of what have you to draw people in. And to have the sheriff there, that's fine. You know, we love the sheriffs, and, you know, we have to build those relationships with the sheriff as well as our neighbors. And that's the neighborhood watch. It's more about building relationships with the neighbors as opposed to the sheriff department, law enforcement, what have you. That's why it's the neighborhood watch. But we need like a draw, right? Like, I'm just making up somebody that's a renowned whatever, that when you see that person's name, you're going to say, oh, well, this should be pretty interesting. Now I'm excited about not just getting the news via the social media or what have you, more of a static sense, but actually showing up because you have this attraction there or what have you, in addition to the wonderful topics, interesting, topics. Just a suggestion. It don't have to be wonderful.
No, I wrote a good idea before I even finished, sir. So it was good. Yeah, I don't disagree. Having a draw would be excellent. And yeah, we can see about someone either widely known or maybe something that people want to hear speak. So absolutely.
Okay.
Very good idea, sir. Very good.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? No. Okay, with that, thank you for that report. I mean, this is good. Thank you, sir. Okay, let's move our agenda to item 7. This is a request of the approval of the First Amendment to the Contract Service Agreement.
Do we have to vote on?
Well, let's receive and
I think we have to vote on the item reserve
Why do we need
with
to
an
vote?
option.
We need to vote on
We
it?
have three
can't just
options.
receive
We
and
have three
file? Oh,
options.
got 3?
I heard consensus for option 1.
But I thought
Get
we
started.
already discussed.
Can we do 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah.
They're all good options.
Right. Right. All right, y'all want to vote? Okay, we can vote. Okay. So why don't somebody make a motion so we can officially vote?
I'll motion to approve all 3 options.
And I'll second it.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, would the council please vote?
For item number 6, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Sorry, Michael, more work for you.
We want it all.
Okay, now number 7, concerning the professional accounting services.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This is the request for approval for the First Amendment to Contract Service Agreement with MV Cheng and Associates for professional accounting services. As you may be aware, the accounting manager resigned back in October, and this position has been vacant since then. We have tried to recruit for this position, but have not been successful. We just didn't get qualified applicants. So we went ahead and signed a temporary agreement under the city manager's authority for temp services, and we were able to get MV Cheng on board, and they provide a person to come in, fill in for the accounting manager position temporarily until we do find somebody full-time. So this position is needed, especially right now as we're getting busier. We have budget season coming up on us, and also really just to keep the daily activities of the department going and not to miss or break any internal controls to keep that going as well. So, we don't get stuck with findings again from the auditors at year end. So this request is for amending the contract that we have right now. We want to amend it through basically December 31st, 2024, increasing it by $152,000. So the new contract will be for $166,750. And as far as budget-wise, we do have budget savings from the vacant position of $77,000 for the 6 months that it's been vacant. And to fill this, to have the temporary work through end of this fiscal year will cost about $44,000. So we do have enough budget to cover the expenses through the end of this fiscal year. So the request is, number 1, requesting that council approve the First Amendment to the contract services agreement with MV Cheng for professional accounting manager services, maximum not to exceed amount $166,750, and authorize the director to transfer salary savings from the accounting manager into contract services within the finance department. And happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that report. Thank you for that report. Any questions of Ms. Ward? Yes, ma'am.
If we do find a manager prior to the end of the year, let's say, are we able to break the contract, or are we stuck with the whole year contract?
There's a clause in there to get out of it, so it's not permanent. Yeah, so we'd be able to.
And we're still recruiting? Are we still advertising for that?
I believe, yes, we are. We went out again to advertise.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, very good.
Mayor, council, just a heads up, that we
Yes, sir.
lost this person to one of the challenges we're facing, we've met this to the council's attention, is these are hard to fill positions, and there's other jurisdictions that pay higher, so we can't, it's hard to recruit and retain, so just a heads up.
Okay.
We're having difficulty return, so we had to do something, because as Harant mentioned, we're in budget season, and we need to have those internal controls as well covered.
Yes. Thank you for that. Okay, what is the pleasure of this body concerning
So moved.
this report?
I'll second that.
Okay, so it's been moved by Kern that we accept the staff recommendation and seconded by Cuevas. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, would the council please vote?
For item number 7, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 8, ratify emergency repair works for the hot water boiler. at the
Good
community
evening
center.
again.
Community
Good
center.
evening again, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm Ad Ansari, Public Works and City Engineering Oversight. The item number 8 is simply a ratification of an emergency work that needed to be done and the action that city manager took. On February 22nd, the boiler on the roof of the community center, which provides the hot water to the kitchen area, malfunctioned. So we got some experts, plumbers, HVAC guys, to come and take a look at it. And sure enough, they all made a quick determination that it was not repairable, and it was in need of the replacement. So we sought bids, and the bids are in your staff report. They went from 19,000 and some change to 25,000. There were 3 bids that we received. Obviously this was an emergency situation because the hot water also for the kitchen is necessary for the meal programs. So city manager and I discussed, we characterized it as emergency work, and even though it's above his signature authority, he was courageous enough to authorize me to move forward with the project. We selected MCOR Services, who was the low bid. We got the unit replaced, and all is good. So basically, we are asking the City Council to ratify the emergency work and action taken by City Manager tonight, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any questions of the Public Works Director?
Sorry, me
Yes,
again.
ma'am.
Warranty or work warranty, did we get anything on that?
They're all in there. They're all as part of their contract.
Okay.
Right.
And what about the parts? We feel comfortable these parts are going to be here and are available in 5 years, 10 years, whatever we need the part. I say that because, you know why I say it, because there was a time where we needed some work done and the parts weren't available and the system was still relatively new.
Yeah,
Not this
that's
system, but some of the systems over there. the
yeah,
HVAC.
that's also included. Parts. They're all new parts. They also had to change some piping and stuff like that, and there is warranties in there. I don't have a present mind as to what the duration of the warranty is, but I can find that out and get back to City Council.
Okay. You want to ask him?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, don't get mad at me, but I had to check things out myself. As you know, I'm a hands-on city manager, so I climbed up on that roof to check this stuff out. And it's not for this topic of discussion, but we need to really consider looking at getting a building engineer company in here to manage that system on that roof. I don't know if the council members have ever seen what's on there. It's a power plant system. It is not a regular typical AC unit. It's massive with massive piping, ducting, boilers. It reminds me of like a ship inside of a big ship down in the boiler system. So we need to look at that for that building as well as maybe look at it for the city hall building, because we don't have the expertise to maintain it weekly and monthly. And that's why when we have these breakdowns, the staff are not trained, they're not certified, not that they're not good at what they do, but we're just putting Band-Aids, and that's why we're having these things happen over and over. So I'm coming up with a solution. I talked to Ahmad. Typically on buildings, that AC unit I've seen is what you see on big, large buildings in downtown LA, where they have building engineers oversee it monthly and bi-weekly. They have a computer system that checks the modularization of it as it operates. You need to have someone that's certified to check it weekly or bi-weekly. We need to look at doing some kind of RFP, bringing somebody in, professional that can run it and manage our systems, our building systems, our environmental systems. So that's something that we're looking at. It's not part of this, but it should take care of all these breakdowns and all these issues we're having.
I do have a
Yes, ma'am.
question for Sean. So we never contracted anyone to do quarterly maintenance on the equipment. Normally, the companies that install them will also give you an agreement to do quarterly maintenance. Besides our staff maintaining it and being trained by the company on how to read their computer, they would come out and give you a quarterly.
We do have maintenance, but this requires someone that
From the
can.
company, let's say.
We've had the maintenance, we do have maintenance deals, but they're not the one, what I'm talking about is a building engineer
Yeah.
that oversees the whole systems. We have a big one over here at City Hall, it's massive. I watched them install that, I oversaw with Steve when Steve was here. And this system, I didn't realize how big it was when I went up there. It's taller than I am, and it's as long as the building, and it's 8 to 9, 10 feet wide. It's a huge power plant system. It's massive. The system that manages the computer system, we definitely need to get someone in here where they can check on it, calibrate it weekly. I'll give you an example. Last week, we had a problem with the air again, and it took us a couple hours, and we still had to call someone in. And staff is just not, they're trained well, but they're not certified to manage that system to keep it operational. And that's when we're having these breakdowns, because remember, these are huge systems. When the equilibrium of one system's not working, it overworks the other side and can cause damage and premature wear out. And that's what we're seeing. So that's something we'll bring. It's not part of this agenda, but I want to let you know. I went up there and looked at this thing, and it's massive.
So since it's budget time, can we just do some research and maybe bring it to the
We are.
budget
I've talked to Ahmad, and
committee?
we'll put that up with the budget committee to consider about getting a firm in here where they manage that whole system, all these systems. And let's not forget that we're going to have the Youth Development Center as well. So we're going to need someone to manage these systems because they're big.
So having kind of gone through that and putting that on the budget subcommittee is a great idea. I just want to kind of wrap this up by saying both this item and the next item are completely consistent with the city's purchasing policy. They're emergency purchases that had to be made, but they're being brought to you for sunshine, for public notice, so that everything is done the right way. So that's why they're on, and with that, I'll let it go.
Right. Okay, I thank you for that.
I just have one question, Robert.
Yes, sir.
Is this a hot water boiler put in already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is replaced.
Okay.
Plus the piping and everything, yes.
Is it the same size as what we currently had
Yes,
previously?
yes.
Or is it larger?
It satisfies what it needs to do. Yes.
And the equilibrium is right on it?
Yes.
I heard you say that, Mr. City Manager. No, I really appreciate this.
Several years back, it was brought up to our attention that the air conditioning unit that was over there was undersized. And I remember when it was built and all the work that had gone into it, it was amazing to me that when they built the community center that they unfortunately put in an undersized HVAC, I think is what it's called, right? System.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And so, that being said, that's why I ask if our boiler is the right size, if it's the same size as the previous one, because boy howdies, we sure didn't anticipate the air conditioning over there, that building having a problem.
Right. So the HVAC unit is an entirely separate, gigantic piece of equipment up there, and then the boiler, which provides the hot water, is in a separate area, and much, much smaller, by the way, and there's a whole bunch of apparatus and piping and everything else.
Oh, so you've been on the roof?
Yes, I have. Yeah. And it has a beautiful view of the city from the top.
I want to go on
Yeah.
a sightseeing trip.
Yeah. But based on the information that we have from the experts who replaced it, they're saying that this is exactly what the building requires as far as the boiler. As far as the HVAC, last year we did some assessment and they did some repairs, and so off and on it's been doing well generally. But like the city manager said, we do need a proactive contract, with somebody who not just react when there is a problem. You know, come, check it, make sure everything is okay, go on, come back 2 months later, so forth.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what is the pleasure of this body concerning this item, item 8?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second it.
So it's been motion to approve by Cuevas, second by Hoffman Gorman, that we ratify the emergency repairs. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, council, please vote.
For item number 8, the motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Item 9 is to ratify emergency repair works concerning the HVAC system.
Right. This is almost carbon copy of item number 8. This one, the malfunction happened with the HVAC, which is right above here, the media room, on February 5th. Again, you know, we brought an expert, you know, they looked at the equipment, it was irreparable, it was in need of replacement, and so we quickly mobilized, you know, got 3 bids, South Coast, Carter, and MCOR, the same 3 companies that, by the way, put in a bid for the other facility that I just presented. And it was from $13,410 to $14,988. And, you know, again, we moved forward. You know, city manager authorized the work and the unit is replaced. This was also characterized as emergency because, you know, if that room is not kept cool, you know, all the equipment could be damaged and the expense and the cost, it will be very large to the city. So once again, the city manager was courageous to take action, and here we are ratifying his action.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
My question is, we should have stayed uniform with this. We have someone put in a MCOR service, put in the hot water heater, board, or whatever you call it. And then we had South Coast Facilities Services doing the HVAC. Why didn't we keep it uniform, have the same company do both? Did we reach out and just ask MCOR if they do both services at the time?
All 3 companies are excellent companies.
Well, I understand that,
you
but
know,
I
in
don't
doing what they
like
do.
company A doing this and company B doing that. It should have been the same company doing both.
Well, we looked at each request for bid, you know, on its own, and of course, MCOR was lower bid on that unit.
Right.
And South Coast was lower unit, lower cost on this.
$1,500.
That's correct.
$1,500.
That's correct. That's
But we
correct.
could have the same company doing both. Instead of company B coming over checking company A and they don't know what the hell they're doing. So we'd have them taking parts out that company A put in or B put in, and it cost us money. We should have kept this uniform with the same company. They both do, all 3 do the same work. An extra $1,500 would took care of the problem that one company does A and B, not A and some other company doing B. I think it should have stayed uniform for the $1,500 more. We should have kept one company, not 2.
Mayor,
Yeah,
council,
could've been.
I just wanted to bring this up. This is under my signature. I went ahead and I made the decision, not Ahmad, and I went ahead and moved forward with it. But moving forward, we'll make sure we'll note that in the future. But we went with the lowest bid typically, but, you know, we want the sunshine this so you guys can see what we're doing and see all the maintenance and costs that are going around.
Well, in the past, we haven't always gone with the lowest bid. I think we should have kept uniform here. But that's my comment.
Yes, sir. Any additional comments? Okay, what is the pleasure of this body concerning this item?
I'll motion
Item
to
9.
approve.
Okay, Cuevas says motion.
This one is just to ratify the city manager's work.
Right, right. So Cuevas says, motion that we approve the ratification of the city manager's authority
I'll
to
second
enter
it.
to the contract. And it was seconded by Suarez. Any discussion? Seeing none, with the council, please vote.
For item number 9, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Let's have our city manager's report. What time is it? Let's have city manager's report, right?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Oh, real quick, I'll be real quick. I just wanted, we didn't touch base on this, But I'm not talking about the neighborhood watch thing. Michael and I went into great detail about just in general, the changes that are going on. I want to bring this up. Like in planning, they'll say, the new porch, and many of you know this, the new porch, we're not building porches on front yards anymore in houses. The new porch is the garage. A lot of people take their garages and make them in the porches now. And Michael and I were just talking about this very issue that the council's been mentioned. And I think it's the Nextdoor app. We were talking about that. I know some of the stuff on there is not correct, but that has become, even in my community, the major way everyone communicates. We're not saying, this item that the council talked about, just something that things are changing in the communities everywhere, just with the technology. And we were discussing about how we get a lot of information. I get sent to me daily, even from our council members, from Nextdoor. So I just, not that it's going to replace Neighborhood Watch, but I just want to bring that up. That's kind of just like the garage has now become the new porch. Nextdoor has now starting to take shape and place as becoming the new Neighborhood Watch. And that's where you see it kind of going. Not that we're not diminishing what council's action, I just wanted to bring that up, something that we were talking about. So we'll see how successful we are. I don't have any other comments, that's it.
Thank you. Let's hear from Councilwoman Cuevas.
I want to thank our city manager for fixing the AC because the meetings I was freezing in here. So thank you, Sean. Next time, pick red, like pass on. No. Nothing else to pass on. Thank you.
How been going?
I'll say yes, it is really nice down here in the snowman section that we're not necessarily as big a snowmen as or snow women as we were. So thank you for getting that fixed. So I attended the Contract Cities event. That was our goodbye to our outgoing president, and that was held up in Beverly Hills at the, help me out, what is the name of the place? Greystone Mansion. It was absolutely incredible, and we got to walk through the place and learned about the Doheny family that lived there and the murder that happened there. Absolutely a nice evening, and we had our Mayor Pro Tem present to him a plaque for the city for his service to our communities. I also attended on the legislative Zoom meeting of Contract Cities. Those are held monthly, and it's just to give us an insight and to keep us abreast of what is going on in the state of California that concerns those of us communities down that participate within Contract Cities. I also participated in the Metro Zoom meeting that was on Thursday last week, and I got to listen in on it because I could not make it down to the meeting in Los Angeles. And I also came up and participated with the extravaganza drive-by that we did here at the community center. I was pretty excited how many cars. The cars were all the way down Buren, out 149th, and all waiting to get in to get their little goodies. So it was a fun event, and it was a good thing that it was a quick action alternative plan. And I had more than one person say, oh man, we really enjoy the usual egg hunt that the city puts on, but we understand this year is a little different. So yep, next year we'll try to be back at the egg hunt. So a lot of fun. I think that's all I have, other than to say, remember this month we have two pretty good events coming up here. On April the 13th, on that Saturday, we have the Chalk event up here at City Hall. And we also have on the 27th, the Youth Day Parade. And I look forward to seeing all of the residents of both of those events. That's all I have.
All righty. Yes, sir.
I have a list.
Okay.
I also attended the Contract City Board of Directors meeting, recognizing outgoing President Dr. Gold, AKA Dr. Jones, at the Doheny Estates. I did attend the Easter extravaganza at the community center. It had a couple hiccups, but it worked itself out and was great. I attended the American Legion Auxiliary Spring Crafts Fair, which our Mayor Pro Tem had a booth there. You have to come down and support her. She makes some great looking things there for sale. I'm pushing you, Bernadette, okay? And I also attended the Association of Realtors Breakfast with the mayors, with our mayor, Robert Polo Miles, and the mayor from Hawthorne, Alex Vargas. Mayor Pro Tem Suarez is there, the city manager's there, and also the community development manager was there. It was a great thing. We had a table in front. We put Hawthorne to shame, to shame. With that, I'll pass it on.
Okay. All right. Madam Suarez.
So they already mentioned the other two contract cities and the Realtors Association event. On Thursday, March 21st, I did attend the City of Gardena Mayor Tasha Serta's State of the City address. It's always good to attend those just to kind of see what other cities are up to and get ideas. And then the other event that I had last week, Thursday, March 28th, was the 24th Annual General Assembly for the South Bay Cities Council of Government. The topic of discussion was AI, friend or foe, and it was actually a really interesting discussion. I'm not that familiar with AI, but they went into kind of AI and what it can do. It uses a lot of data. You can put in the data and then use it as a tool for things. So they even discuss how some cities are using it. And then showed us a few cool things. They had a private session, and we actually got to sit with Google and another company who are trying to work with cities. And one of them even brought up how he tested it out where he put in, I think, a building and compliance code and then took a video and asked if it was up to code, and it searched for him and pointed out the things that needed to be fixed. So there's a lot of discussion about it. Congressman Ted Lieu did have a talk about it in Congress and how he's working on some laws. And I think the takeaway from that was it can be good, but we should always have a human that's kind of giving the final go on things, just to be safe with that. So my takeaway from the whole thing was, what is that saying? Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. I think eventually AI will be the future, and so we just have to learn how to deal with it and be careful with it, but also try and utilize it as a tool. And with that, I'll pass it along.
Okay, thank you for those comments. So let's see. I've attended the retirement of Los Angeles Fire Department Captain Joe Williams. He had what is called a final turnout coat ceremony. This is basically when you turn in your coat and your equipment for the very last time. It's conjunction with his retirement. I think it was like something like maybe 30 years or something like that with the fire department, LA County. So that was pretty interesting to see. I also attended the National Action Network's Women's History Month luncheon in the city of Carson. I also attend the South Bay Association of Realtors housing breakfast, which I was one of the speakers. We learned a lot. Did we learn anything?
Oh, yeah, we did.
I don't know if we actually learned anything, but yeah, we have higher home prices, yeah. I want to thank the staff for helping to put that together. They did a fabulous presentation, PowerPoint. We actually saved the day by our neighboring cities. You know, they're the city of good neighbors, and we're good neighbors too, because we brought our laptop. Their laptop wasn't compatible, but someone in our office knew that ahead of time, right? That we needed to have another laptop and not the one we normally would use or what have you. And I guess they didn't get the message or whatever. So being good neighbors, right, we were able to allow them to plug in to ours, and they were able to do the presentation, a marvelous presentation it was at that. But no, we just had a good time learning a lot about the city of Lawndale as well as the city of Hawthorne when it's concerning housing and the community in general. So I want to thank the staff for all their hard work in putting that together. I also attended the Easter extravaganza drive-through program. I just want to give big kudos to the staff for, being flexible and pivoting. That's what it's about. In municipal government, I learned this from all my years of working in the state legislature for those 24 years, that at a dime, you may have to switch, stop on a dime, and you have to do a U-turn, you have to reinvent something as well with short notice, and the staff really pulled that together from advertising it. And I guess they, got with the schools or what have you and putting the word out or what have you. So I wasn't really sure if the word was out because, I knew about it, but I didn't know about it, right? But I just knew it was happening, but I didn't know the details of it or what have you. But to see all those cars, just lined up. And I remember when I was just coming, I was actually going the long way around, and I was going I guess the east on Marine, and I saw all those cars up by Hawthorne Boulevard. And I said, I don't know what's going on over there, but I don't want any of that. So I turned left, made a left turn. And sure enough, that was the Easter. That was the Easter egg crowd right coming. I said, I don't want whatever's going on there, because I didn't know because it was a jam. I didn't know what was going on there. I didn't want anything to do with that, right? So I made a left down like Kingsdale, right, and went all the way around, only to be met by what seems to be a sea of cars, waiting to get in. But the staff did a great job. But I really want to thank the parents because, it was raining, and the parents, obviously the kids had to get a ride, right? Right. So for the parents to bring their kids or whatever, because it's easier for the parents to say, it's kind of rainy, out, let's just stay in, where it's cozy or what have you. So for the parents to actually get out there in the rain and actually allow their kids to be a part of that, I'm sure that made their day because there was some happy kids. And it was new to them. It was like, oh, this is new. This is new, what have you. So good job, everyone. And I'm not sure we're going to do it again next year, unless it's raining. Right, but very good job. And the last thing I want to add, speaking of State of the City events, I've been invited to a number of the State of the City events, and I know we used to have one back when a certain entity used to put them on. And then to this day, in a lot of cities, that same entity's usually the one that put them on, but I don't see that entity putting on these types of events. My whole thought was for the last couple of years not to step on anyone's toes, kind of see what happens or what have you, and maybe they'll revamp and then, conclude, with the State of the City, but that doesn't seem like that's going to happen anytime soon. So I feel comfortable requesting that maybe not necessarily in the next budget, but as soon as we can, doing a State of the City, event, because it's not going to get done through the other entity that used to do them. And I think it's important that we at least have one at least every other year, if not every year. And that's all I have. Now, Sherry. Okay, so the item we have next on the agenda is a closed session. Public employees performance evaluation. I'm going to ask the city attorney to give us a provision of the closed session. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That would be under the Brown Act's provision in the Government Code, Section 54957B, which authorizes this type of evaluation to be held in closed session. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we have returned from closed session. I'm going to ask the city attorney to give the report of the closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council did meet in closed session to discuss a performance evaluation of the city manager. No reportable action was taken this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. We have an adjournment. You want to read the adjournment?
Yes, I will.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to adjourn this meeting in memory of Lucille Helen Patrick. She was born in Columbus, Nebraska. She was a Cornhusker fan. She lived in Lawndale since 1958, worked as a crossing guard at the Corner Marine and Ceremonials for the city of Lawndale. After her husband passed away in 1980, she started working in TRW in Redondo Beach, retired from TRW in 1995. She is survived by 2 children, Shirley Venegas, her son Ron Patrick, 4 grandchildren, Reuben, Ryan's my godson, Amanda and Joy, 4 great-grandchildren, Chloe, Bree, Scarlett, and Sabrina. And with that, I'd like to close the meeting in her memory.
Can I just add on to that one?
Yes, please.
I was a kid at Jane Addams School when she was the crossing guard heading northbound on Marine. And I can tell you something, she was the coolest crossing guard of our city. The kids, she knew them all by name. The kids would come into school and they would be going, Lucy this and Lucy that, and every story involved Lucy. And I sat there and thought to myself, I wish I had a cool crossing guard. She was something else as the city crossing guard. So she will be missed from our community, and people might not know her by name, but if they saw her face, they would recognize her.
Thank you. So we will adjourn in her memory. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Lawndale City Council will be held at 6:30 p.m. on Monday, April 15th, in these council chambers. Now,
What day is that? Tax day.
oh, really?
It is. April 15th is tax. You know, really. I like your style. I like your style.
We doing that this year?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It is now 9:29. This meeting is adjourned.